Hello. In the next 6.5 minutes, we'll explain invoicing with Small Invoice. Invoices can be created in the Receivables module under Invoices. Via the Customer tab, you must select the customer for whom the invoice is being created. If the customer does not yet exist, it can also be entered and selected directly. Furthermore, it is possible to specify the language in which the invoice shall be created. In the Layout tab, you can select the invoice layout and specify which columns are to be displayed for the invoice items. In the Content tab, you can define the most important characteristics of the invoice, such as currency, date, due date, discount, and whether the prices include VAT. You can use the Items tab to enter the invoice items. These are divided into Service and Product. You can add items either from the catalogue or enter them as empty items. In both cases, quantity, price, unit and VAT can be adjusted. You can move invoice items using drag and drop. It is also possible to add design components such as headings, subtotals and page breaks. Invoice items under Product work in the same way as those under Service. You have now added the minimum information required for an invoice. By clicking on the Preview button, you can generate and update the invoice preview. However, an invoice can also be configured further. The Text tab can be used to adjust the invoice title, introduction, and conditions. Separate text can be entered for each invoice status. These can also be selected from existing texts. In the Payment tab, you can define which payment methods are offered for the invoice. There are various payment methods such as bank transfer and in-payment slips. You can also establish direct payment links for payment via PayPal, Payrex, and PostFinance. In the Workflow tab, you can configure what happens when the invoice is not paid. In this case, a notification can be sent to your own email address, or a payment reminder, respectively a dunning letter, can be sent by email or post to the customer. After saving the invoice, it can be sent directly from Small Invoice via email or post, or downloaded as a PDF, e.g. for printing. You can also change the status in this invoice detail view. All relevant actions are logged under History. Via Extended, additional actions are available. Before payment methods can be used in Small Invoice, they must first be configured. Next, we would like to briefly explain how this is done for in-payment slips, our most popular payment method. In-payment slips can be configured in the Receivables module under Configuration, Software Settings. You can configure red and orange in-payment slips. To set up red in-payment slips, all you need is the account number in IBAN format, as well as the post account number of the bank managing the account. Among other information, these two details are entered under Subscriber Number and IBAN Number. On the other hand, orange in-payment slips, also known as ISR in-payment slips, can only be used after the account holding bank has set up this function. The best way to do this is to contact the bank's customer advisor. The bank will send a letter containing the information required for the configuration in Small Invoice as soon as the account has been set up for ISR payment slips by the bank. An example of such a letter can be found under Example Configuration. The relevant information for setup in Small Invoice is the subscriber number, also known as the account number. This can be recognized by the typical format for ISR payment accounts, starting with the number 01 followed by a hyphen. The delivery number, also known as the identification number depending on the bank, is also required. This information can now be used to configure the ISR in-payment slip. When you have configured an in-payment slip, We recommend using the Test Print function to send the bank a couple of in-payment slips for test purposes. This will help avoid surcharges in the event that an in-payment slip cannot be imported automatically due to imprecise positioning. The Invoices overview can be used to check for open invoices or to determine the current status of invoices. Invoices can be sorted by status using Status. Clicking on an invoice opens the Invoice overview, which we have presented earlier. The columns which are to be displayed in this list can be customized via the spanner icon. In the Recurring Invoices tab, you can also enter invoices to be generated automatically by smallinvoice. Smallinvoice also offers the option of reconciling outgoing payments automatically. Via Export/Import, enter payment file, you get to Bank Statement section, which can also be found under Data in the main navigation. You can now use Upload File to upload the bank statement from e-banking in various formats. When a payment is uniquely identified, it is assigned to the corresponding invoice. If a payment cannot be uniquely identified, the system displays a dialog via which you can assign it to an invoice manually. When the Automatic Bank Statements function is configured and active, you do not need to upload bank statements to smallinvoice. The data is automatically retrieved from the account and imported into smallinvoice. Thank you for your attention, and we wish you every success with the Invoices functionality.